There's this military term known as strategy of the void. It basically goes like this. Expose as little of yourself as possible to your enemy, and they'll be less likely to do you harm. On the battlefield, that means be elusive and stay small. But on the battlefield of cyber warfare, we can do better. Because the hardest target to hit is one that no longer exists. Cybersecurity is a digital arms race, and the current situation is ugly. Businesses are constantly under siege. Every year, half of small and medium-sized businesses are targeted by hackers, making cyber attacks the second most reported economic crime. And of the businesses that do suffer an attack, within 6 months, 60% of those companies are just gone.
You know, in the battle between good and evil, between hackers and defenders, you gotta say that the hackers are on top these days. You know, hackers only have to be right once, defenders have to be right every time.
Computers are still too easy to break into, and you can see that in infection rates of viruses, which is just out of control.
The current cyber hygiene of small to medium-sized businesses as it relates to cybersecurity is not great. It's really like shooting fish in a barrel.
The thing is, antivirus software doesn't really work anymore. AI and machine learning have ushered us into the next phase of hacker evolution.
The arms race is stacked against the antivirus companies. It's like a flu virus that morphs for each person that it infects. There's no way to make a cure for that.
Hackers don't really face the possibility of going to jail. There's not a lot of personal risk for them. It's not like going to rob a bank where, you know, sooner or later, and probably sooner, you're gonna get caught and you're gonna go away for a long time.
In fact, often the victims are blamed for getting hacked. So the victims sometimes have extra consequences, but how often are we seeing the actual bad guys, the architects of attacks getting caught? That's still a rare event.
That's exactly what happened to a small company called CodeSpaces. An attacker gained access into CodeSpaces servers and demanded a ransom. When the company refused to pay, the hacker destroyed the data. CodeSpaces was literally gone.
Harpoon attack is really just a phishing email aimed at somebody who is what they call a whale. And a whale is sort of like the CEO of a large company, or somebody who's sort of you think is going to be a lot of valuable to you as a hacker.
The evidence is that in large corporations, it's the CEO who's likely to click on those things more than the person way down the chain.
This is an existential threat that's hard to overemphasize. But we're not here to scare you. That's not productive. We're here to empower.
So there are many ways to decrease your exposure to pernicious activities. Cyber hygiene is the key here. That's because so much of the problem is attributable to the most basic cyber hygiene problems. We are in the stage before washing hands. We should get used to washing our hands from a cyber perspective.
Generally talking about reducing your ability to get hacked. So one part of that process is minimizing your attack surface.
One of the defensive innovations that I'm most excited about is containerization. What virtual containers get us is a new way of thinking about defense. Maybe the attack is impossible to stop, but we can dramatically decrease its impact. Consider if, when you click on that suspicious link, a browser instance is created just to open up that web page in a special virtual container. If that web page contains attack code, it's gonna succeed. However, it's only going to hack a little virtual box. And once we throw it away, your entire attack is done.
Something everybody should be aware of is cyber resilience. And that means have solutions that are able to detect that something goes wrong in your system and then automatically recover and automatically put your system back into a working state. So SureClick is basically making sure that when you are on any website, even an infected website, the infected website will not corrupt your PC. The way it does it is by containing the virus into a container called a micro virtual machine. So that means that as soon as you get out of your browsing session, as soon as you get out of your tab, the malware is just gone with the tab.
We're not going to get rid of the cyber threat. It's just not going to happen. But we can take the steps to protect ourselves, and small and medium businesses can take those steps to protect themselves in a cost-effective way if they just put their mind to it and they get the right information.
The history of the cyber threat suggests that there's likely not going to be a revolutionary technology that completely fixes the problem. Companies and individuals are going to keep getting hit. But we're not going to just stop using the internet. You can update your OS, modernize your computers with hardware-based defenses, operate your browser within a virtual session, use a system of multi-factor authentication. These are empowering techniques that you can use today.